Welcome back to the 21 Boom Guided Meditation. This is Coach Zach Feeney. I'll be your guide for the evening. Getting down on the floor once a day and stretching your body mindfully, if only for 3 or 4 minutes, staying in touch with your breathing and with what your body is telling you. You remind yourself that this is your body today. Check to see if you are in touch with it. This is a quote from John Donne. No man is an island, entire of itself. Every man is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. If a clod be washed away by the sea, Europe is the less, as well as if a promontory were, as well as if a manner of thy friends or of thine own were. Any man's death diminishes me, because I am involved in mankind. And therefore, never send to know for whom the bell tolls, if it tolls for thee. We resonate with one another's sorrows because we are interconnected. Being whole and simultaneously part of a larger whole, we can change the world simply by changing ourselves. If I become a center of love and kindness in this moment, then in a perhaps small but hardly insignificant way, the world now has a nucleus of love and kindness it lacked the moment before. This benefits me and it benefits others. You may have noticed that you are not always a center of love and kindness, even toward yourself. In fact, in our society, one might speak of an epidemic of low self-esteem. In conversations with the Dalai Lama during a meeting in Dharamsala in 1990, he did a double take when a Western psychologist spoke of low self-esteem. The phrase had to be translated several times for him into Tibetan, although his English is quite good. He just couldn't grasp the notion of low self-esteem, and when he finally understood what was being said, he was visibly saddened to hear that so many people in America carry deep feelings of self-loathing and inadequacy. Such feelings are virtually unheard of among the Tibetans. They have all the severe problems of refugees from oppression living in the third world, but low self-esteem is not one of them. But who knows what will happen to future generations as they come into contact with what we ironically call the developed world. Maybe we are overdeveloped outwardly and underdeveloped inwardly. Perhaps it is we who, for all our wealth, are living in poverty. You can take steps to rectify this poverty through loving kindness meditation. As usual, the place to begin is with yourself. Might you invite a sense of kindness and acceptance and cherishing to arise in your own heart. You would have to do so over and over again, just as you would bring your mind back to the breath over and over again in the sitting meditation. The mind won't take easily to it because the wounds we carry run deep. But you might try, just as an experiment, to hold yourself in awareness and acceptance for a time in your practice, as a mother would hold a hurt or frightened child, with a completely available and unconditional love. Can you cultivate forgiveness of yourself, if not of others? Is it even possible to invite yourself to be happy in this moment? Is it okay for you to feel okay? Is the basis of happiness present in this moment at all? Loving kindness practice is done in the following way, but please don't mistake the words for the practice. As usual, they are just signposts pointing the way. Start by centering yourself in your posture and in your breathing, and you can close your eyes when you're ready. Then from your heart or from your belly, invite feelings or images of kindness and love to radiate until they fill your whole being. Allow yourself to be cradled by your own awareness as if you were as deserving of loving kindness as any child. Let your awareness embody both benevolent mother energy and benevolent father energy, making available for you in this moment a recognition and an honoring of your being, and a kindness you perhaps did not receive enough as a child. Let yourself bask in this energy of loving kindness, breathing it in and breathing it out. As if it were a lifeline. long in disrepair, but finally passing along a nourishment you were starving for. Invite feelings of peacefulness and acceptance to be present in you. Some people find it valuable to say to themselves from time to time such things as, may I be free from ignorance. May I be free from greed and hatred. May I not suffer. May I be happy. But the words are just meant to evoke feelings of loving kindness. They are a wishing oneself well, consciously formed intentions to be free now, in this moment at least, from the problems we so often make for ourselves or compound for ourselves through our own fear and forgetfulness. Once you have established yourself as a center of love and kindness radiating throughout your being, which amounts to a cradling of yourself in loving kindness and acceptance. You can dwell here indefinitely, drinking at this fount, bathing in it, renewing yourself, nourishing yourself, enlivening yourself. This can be a profoundly healing practice for body and soul. You can also take the practice further. Having established a radiant center in your being, you can let loving kindness radiate outwardly and direct it wherever you like. You might first direct it toward the members of your immediate family. If you have children, hold them in your mind's eye and in your heart, visualizing their essential selves, wishing them well, that they not suffer needlessly, that they come to know their true way in the world, and that they may experience love and acceptance in life. And then including, as you go along, a partner, spouse, siblings, parents. You can direct loving kindness toward your parents, whether they are alive or dead, wishing them well, wishing that they may not feel isolated or in pain, honoring them. If you feel capable of it and it feels healthy to you and liberating, finding a place in your own heart to forgive them for their limitations, for their fears, and for any wrong actions and suffering they may have caused. Remembering that what could she have done, being what she is? And there's no need to stop here. You can direct loving kindness toward anybody, toward people you know and people you don't. It may benefit them, but it will certainly benefit you for refining and extending your emotional being. This extension matures as you purposefully direct loving kindness toward people you have a hard time with, toward those you dislike or are repulsed by, toward those who threaten you or have hurt you. You can also practice directing loving kindness toward whole groups of people, toward all those who are oppressed or who suffer or whose lives are caught up in war or violence or hatred, understanding that they are not different from you, that they too have loved ones, hopes, and aspirations, and needs for shelter, food, and peace. You can also extend loving kindness to the planet itself, its glories and its silent suffering, to the environment, the streams and rivers, to the air, the oceans, the forests, to plants and animals, collectively or singly. There is really no natural limit to the practice of loving kindness in meditation or in one's life. It is an ongoing, ever expanding realization of interconnectedness. It is also its embodiment. When you can love one tree or one flower or one dog or one place or one person or yourself for one moment, you can find all people, all places, all suffering, all harmony in that one moment. Practicing in this way is not trying to change anything or get anywhere, although it might look like it on the surface. What it is really doing is uncovering what is always present. Love and kindness are here all the time, somewhere, in fact, everywhere. Usually, our ability to touch them and be touched by them lies buried below our own fears and hurts, below our greed and our hatreds, below our desperate clinging to the illusion that we are truly separate and alone. By invoking such feelings in our practice, we are stretching against the edges of our own ignorance. Just as in yoga, we stretch against the resistance of muscle, ligaments, and tendons, and as in that and all other forms of meditation, against the boundaries and ignorance of our own minds and hearts. And in the stretching, painful as it sometimes is, we expand, we grow, we change ourselves, we change the world. So going forward, try touching base with feelings of loving kindness within yourself at some point in your meditation practice. See if you can get behind any objections you may have to this practice or behind your reasons for being unlovable or unacceptable. Just look at all that as, just look at it all as thinking. Experiment with allowing yourself to bathe in the warmth and acceptance of loving kindness as if you were a child held in a loving mother's and or father's arms. Then play with directing it toward others and out into the world. There is no limit to this practice, but as with any other practice, it deepens and grows with constant attending, like plants in a loving tended garden. Make sure that you are not trying to help anybody else or the planet. Rather, you are simply holding them in awareness, honoring them, wishing them well, opening to their pain with kindness and compassion and acceptance. If in the process you find that this practice calls you to act differently in the world, then let those actions too embody loving kindness and mindfulness. All of us are apprenticed to the same teacher that the religious institutions originally worked with, reality. Reality insight says, master the 24 hours, do it well, without self-pity. It is as hard to get the children herded into the carpool and down the road to the bus as it is to chant sutras in the Buddha hall on a cold morning. One move is not better than the other. Each can be quite boring, and they both have the virtuous quality of repetition. Repetition and ritual and their good results come in many forms. Changing the filter, wiping noses, going to meetings, picking up all around the house, washing dishes, checking the dipstick. Don't let yourself think these are distracting you from your more serious pursuits. Such a round of chores is not a set of difficulties we hope to escape from so that we may do our practice, which will put us on a path. It is our path. One of the principal virtues of a daily discipline is an acquired transparency toward the appeals of transitory mood states. A commitment to getting up early to meditate becomes independent of wanting or not wanting to do so on any particular morning. The practice calls us to a higher standard, that of remembering the importance of wakefulness and the ease with which we can slip into a pattern of automatic living, which lacks awareness and sensitivity. Just waking up early to practice non-doing is itself a tempering process. It generates enough heat to rearrange our atoms, gives us a new and stronger crystal lattice of mind and body, a lattice that keeps us honest, and reminds us that there is far more to life than getting things done. Discipline provides a constancy which is independent of what kind of a day you had yesterday and what kind of a day you anticipate today. Mindful inquiry can heal low self-esteem for the simple reason that a low self-estimation is really a wrong calculation, a misperception of reality. Too often our lives cease working because we cease working at life, because we are unwilling to take responsibility for things as they are and to work with our difficulties. There's always something to dislike. So why not let go and admit that you might as well be at home wherever you are? What is my job on the planet is one question we might do well to ask ourselves over and over again. Otherwise, we may wind up doing somebody else's job and not even know it. What is it on this planet that needs doing that I know something about that probably won't happen unless I take responsibility for it? And just continue asking this question continuously and do what comes to you, following your nose. In this way, working for humanity as an employee of the universe at large, you get to modify and contribute to your locale by who you are, how you are, and what you do. But it's no longer personal. It's just part of the totality of the universe expressing itself. Rarely do we question and then contemplate with determination what our hearts are calling us to do and to be. I like to frame such efforts in question form. What is my job on the planet with a capital J? Or what do I care about so much that I would pay to do it? If I ask such a question and I don't come up with an answer other than I don't know, then I just keep asking the question. Once the universe is your employer, very interesting things start to happen, even if someone else is cutting your paycheck. But you do have to be patient. It takes time to grow this way of being in your life. The place to start, of course, is right here. The best time, well, how about now? Ralph Waldo Emerson, in Self-Reliance, said, insist on yourself, never imitate. Your own gift you can present every moment with the cumulative force of a whole life's cultivation. But of the adopted talent of another, you have only an extemporaneous half possession. Do that which is assigned to you, and you cannot hope too much or dare too much. The mountain climb is a powerful metaphor for the life quest, the spiritual journey, the path of growth, transformation, and understanding. The arduous difficulties we encounter along the way embody the very challenges we need in order to stretch ourselves and thereby expand our boundaries. In the end, it is life itself which is the mountain, the teacher, serving us up perfect opportunities to do the inner work of growing in strength and wisdom. You can't stay at the top of a mountain. The journey up is not complete without the descent, the stepping back and seeing the whole again from afar. Having been at the summit, however, you have gained a new perspective and it may change your way of seeing forever. In a way, that's all any of us do when we teach. As best we can, we show others what we have seen up to now. It's at best a progress report, a map of our experiences, by no means the absolute truth. And so the adventure unfolds. We are all on Mount Analog together, and we need each other's help. I've heard Zen masters say that daily meditation practice can turn bad karma into good karma. I always chalk this up to a quaint, moralistic sales pitch. It took me years to get to the point. I guess that's my karma. Karma means that this happens because that happened. B is connected to in some way to A. Every effect has an antecedent cause, and every cause has an effect that is its measure and its consequence. Overall, when we speak of a person's karma, it means the sum total of a person's direction in life and the tenor of the things that occur around that person, caused by antecedent conditions, actions, thoughts, feelings, sense impressions, desires. Karma is often wrongly confused with the notion of a fixed destiny. It is more like an accumulation of tendencies that can lock us into particular behavior patterns, which themselves results in further accumulations of tendencies of a similar nature. There can be no one way to be, no one way to practice, no one way to learn, no one way to love, no one way to grow or to heal, no one way to live, no one way to feel, no one thing to know or to be known. Albert Einstein has said, the true value of a human being is determined primarily by the measure and sense in which he has attained liberation from the self. If you ask, who is the I who is asking, who am I? Ultimately, you come to, I don't know. Meditation is not about trying to become a nobody or a contemplative zombie, incapable of living in the real world and facing real problems. It's about seeing things as they are without the distortions of our own thought processes. Without care and awareness, small-minded feeling states can dominate the moment. The best way to impart wisdom, meditation, or anything else to say children, especially when they are young, is to live it yourself, embody what you most want to impart, and keep your mouth shut. Perhaps the most spiritual thing any of us can do is simply to look through our own eyes, see with eyes of wholeness, and act with integrity and kindness. Because it is a door into the timeless, it operates beyond time, underneath time, inside of time, and so allows for transformation without having to strive to get anywhere else or beat oneself up along the way for being inadequate or imperfect. For you are already perfect. We all are. Perfectly what we are, including all our imperfections and inadequacies. The question is, can we be with it? Can we sit with it? Can we know it? Can we embrace our own wholeness and embody it here where we already are in the very situations, good, bad, ugly, lost, confusing, heartrending, terrifying, and painful that we find ourselves in? Can we be this knowing? Can we realize the infinite beauty and mystery and intelligence of our own awareness and realize too that it can be infinitely refined through tending, through the cultivation of an affectionate and tender attention? Can we realize that wherever we go, there we are, and that this there is always here, and so requires at least acknowledgement and perhaps a degree of acceptance of what is, however it is, because it already is. Can we grow into ourselves in our fullness and live our precious and fleeting lives more wisely? We can. We can. When you come right down to it, what else is there to do? The deepest of bows to you for the courage and perseverance involved in throwing yourself wholeheartedly into this adventure of a lifetime.